Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Chatter After Live. We're here talking the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm your host, Mike. Of course, joining me is a special guest, Nate Richard. He knows movies. What's going on, Nate?
Doing pretty good. Excited to rank some movies of mixed quality.
Mixed quality is an understatement. If we're being completely honest, we're talking Marvel Phase 5 specifically, and everything past Avengers Endgame, everyone labels Phase 4, but we have just wrapped up 2 phases, and I don't think anybody noticed. Just about. Robert, you're also here. What's the general consensus for Phase 5 for you?
Thunderbolts just saved its ass. That's my general consensus. Up until Thunderbolts, it's been mostly bad, and on the movie side, it's been really bad. But we got a good one this weekend, gentlemen. So things are looking up. At least we're going out on a high, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree. I did love Thunderbolts. We're going to talk about that. It might get spoilery when we get there. Luckily for you, that's the last title we're talking about. So you can enjoy 90% of this stream without any spoilers for Thunderbolts. We're just going to get into it, right? We're going to get into the tier list here. Of course, A tier, it's an Avengers level event. B, C, D, and then the last tier, I just promptly named Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. But Robert, you said you might have to push back a little bit. So you go first. What are your thoughts on Ant-Man? Where do you think it's going to rank?
So I do not think Ant-Man and Quantumania is a terribly good movie. I have at least one movie from this phase for sure that I would have below it, and at least another one that's debatably below it, and that's just on the film side. So personally, I have it C tier. It's not great. I do think it has a good performance from Michelle Pfeiffer. I do think it has a good performance from he who shall not be named and who is no longer in the MCU. But I think there are a couple good performances and a couple interesting things going on around to that movie that would rightfully keep it out of the tier that you named after it, Mike. I can't argue higher than I guess D tier, but I don't. It's not bottom of the barrel for me.
Nate, Mike, did you name that tier for me? Because you've heard me rant about that movie endlessly.
Yes, I basically said Nate's going to spend 5 minutes ranting about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, so I just gave you a tier. But we're fighting for it now. It might be renamed Secret Invasion or something. I don't know.
No, there's only been 3 movies that I have seen, like, that I can remember in the theater that have given me a migraine for like hours. Those are The Flash, this movie that it actually went on Hulu, but I saw it when I was down in Austin now 2 months ago. Wow. But it's called Odessa with Sadie Sink. The last one is Quantumania. And I'm somebody who loved the first Ant-Man movie. Like, I unapologetically really, really like that movie.
You shouldn't have to apologize. It's really good.
I've just seen hate on it because it's like, oh, it's not Edgar Wright. And I'm like, it's not trying to be anymore. The second one, I've only seen once. I liked it at the time, but pretty forgettable. The third one I thought had so much potential. And it's really that the fact that that whole movie is set in the quantum zone, it looks ugly. Like, the movie feels like every single like stigma that Marvel has gotten thrown together about how their movies look like backwash or they look like video games. Like, this looked like Spy Kids 3D. And I'm not even like using hyperbole.
But
like,
isn't that almost all of these movies?
I thought this one more so just because it was set almost entirely there. And I also just thought I liked Michelle Pfeiffer in it. I thought she was really good. She was better than Michael Douglas, who was just, I don't know what he was doing in that movie. She gave her and Voldemort gave probably the 2 best performances in that otherwise like very bad movie. Paul Rudd's always reliable, but like Evangeline Lilly, Catherine Newton, who I usually love, I thought was wooden as the daughter. Like, I could not stand her. And then MODOK. I just can't forget that.
I mean, MODOK is an abomination. Catherine Newton, I'm going to tend to blame the writing more than her.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's writing. Bad writing, that's a bad movie.
I guess my thing is just like, look at me and in a straight face tell me this is worse than Secret Invasion. Because I don't think it is. And I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be completely honest with you. You're not wrong there. It's not worse than Secret Invasion.
Okay, we can change it.
And then listen, we could put 2 movies in the bottom tier. That can happen. I mean, personally, I think The Marvels is a worse movie than Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. I can see the counterpoint. It's close, but if you're asking for my rankings on just the movie side, I have The Marvels low. But
we'll get to Marvels because I'm also not a fan of that movie, but I think it has one thing that's really, really is going for it. But we can make Secret Invasion a tier of its own because you make a good point. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, like, if I see a movie too late at night, I sometimes fall asleep. I think that screening started really late. It kept me awake. I was semi-entertained. Secret Invasion, I watched the first 2 episodes. I tried the third, and I fell asleep, and it was like 2 p.m. So
I'm going to throw out another thought. But I have these movies both at 2 stars on my Letterboxd. If I have to pick between Captain America: Brave New World and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I think I'm going Quantumania.
Gee.
No.
We're too far ahead. We got to come back.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay.
So where would you put it, Robert? Where are you thinking? Quantumania. Is it a D tier?
I would vote for. Wait, no, the tiers just changed on me. I'm looking at our tier setup here.
I added another tier because it would said add a tier for Secret Invasion.
So we don't have an S tier. Is that correct? We have
no. I mean, Avengers can be A or S.
I'm comfortable with F tier if that's where Nate would prefer to put it.
Yes.
It's. I don't think this movie has any redeeming qualities, even with Michelle Pfeiffer and Jonathan Majors giving decent performance. Like, the movie's terrible, the plot's terrible, the world looks it looks awful. Yeah. Like Nate was saying, in a way that somehow the other Marvel movies haven't achieved. It's like the worst possible version of an MCU movie. It feels like if you asked ChatGPT to make an MCU movie, that's what it would spit out at you. So I'm cool with F tier. No arguments for me. That's our first placement on the board.
They also wasted my boy Chidi from The Good Place.
Oh gosh, yeah.
A terrible role where, like, he would have probably been a better cast Reed Richards than Pedro Pascal. I know we haven't seen it yet, but like, he has the nerdy thing down and he's hot. Just saying, they wasted that by just making him a guy who gets headaches like I did in that movie. So
yeah, I'm like you were saying before, Nate, not many movies like pissed me off that much. It was very much Quantumania, and it was Joker Fully Ado. I think I was like legitimately fuming for 3 days after watching Joker 2. But next movie, I don't think is nearly as bad. I know we have varying takes on this one. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Oh, yeah.
Robert, I want you to start because you have a hot take.
My hot take, I don't know if it's that hot of a take. It's a goodish Marvel movie. It's my least favorite of that trilogy, and it's not even particularly close. I think it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is my favorite MCU movie. I think it's pretty much a perfect comic book movie. I adore it to this day. I was actually just telling Nate before the show went live. Volume 2, I was a little down on when it launched, when it came out, but that movie has grown on me over the years. There are a couple parts in it that still don't work for me. I hate the Hasselhoff cameo. I hate how literal the catch with dad is. But for the most part, they nailed the big beats in that movie. This is Volume 2 I'm talking about. I love the Gamora Nebula stuff in that movie. Volume 3, I've only ever seen from start to finish once in theaters, and I thought it was fine. I thought it was a step down from even part 2. I've caught pieces of it since then and have never really been compelled to give it a full and fair rewatch. But it wasn't as strong a closing to that trilogy as I would have liked it to have been. And so I think, unlike some of the other movies that we're going to talk about tonight, a couple I jumped the gun on already, I do think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie, and I would be wary of placing it too high on a tier list.
I'm going to go next because I know Nate probably differs the most. I enjoyed Volume 3. I had a ton of fun with it.
Wait, hold on.
Go.
You just texted me the poster of House of Gucci?
Yes, I did, because if you read your text before that, you said Gucci.
Oh,
So there you go.
Okay. Like, what?
Inside baseball there. But yeah, it's every time if you mention Gucci, you're gonna get a poster of House of Gucci. I'm sorry. It's just gonna be what happens. Guardians 3.
Quantumania.
Guardians 3, great movie. I really dig it. I struggle. I think I bounce back and forth between all three. I love all three of them for different reasons. This probably is the messiest of the three, so I agree there. I also think it probably has the weakest villain of the three. Like, even though the story with Rocket is so great, I do think High Evolutionary as a character just doesn't really work for me.
It doesn't. I think it's easily the weakest villain. And let's be clear, Ronan in the first one isn't a top tier MCU villain. He's kind of just there, but he works in the context of that movie. One of the strengths of Volume 2 actually is it probably has the best villain in the trilogy with Kurt Russell as, what is it, Ego, the Living Planet? Is that correct?
Yeah.
High Evolutionary is a massive step down in that movie.
Yeah. So I think I would probably put it in like C tier, maybe B tier. Of this group, it might be an A tier for me. That's the thing. Like, we're judging Phase 5 as Phase 5, not the larger MCU in this video. We might need to come back and just do an entire MCU rank one day to like make sure everything's placed properly. But of this group, it probably is like a B tier for me right now. But Nate, go.
Okay. Like Robert, the first Guardians of the Galaxy will probably always be my favorite MCU movie. I think we both have it rated 5 stars, even if it's not like perfect. Like, that movie is so like sentimental to me. Also, like Robert, Guardians 2, when I first saw it, I'm like, I really enjoyed it, but I'm like, this isn't as good as the first. But I kept rewatching it, and I'm like, I really love this, and I love Ego. I think he's one of the best MCU villains, like, as a whole. I will say Guardians 3. It is the newest MCU movie that I own. It's like the last one I bought. Have it on 4K, have a steelbook. I only saw it once. And I think that reason is I am an animal person, as you can probably see by my dog shrine behind me. But the movie's like notably even more emotional than like the other two Guardians movies. Like, to the point where at times it's not even like entertaining emotional. It is just tough to watch. I still love it though. I think I'll even defend Adam Warlock. I thought Will Poulter was like excellent. And I liked how they kept doing like all these different analogies. And you know what? High Evolutionary, I get it. He was a little flat, but I thought, I can't pronounce that actor's name. But Chukwuji, I'm not going to try. Sorry.
I appreciate the attempt, at least. You gave it a try.
But I thought he was good in that role. Like, he has some like pretty killer lines where he just talks about like playing God. He was like, God doesn't exist, so I stepped in. I'm like, oh, wow. And I think the movie, I found it really interesting that it plays a lot with like theology and like has a lot of biblical metaphors that I was like, oh, that's actually kind of clever, especially like when we see like Adam Warlock at the ending. It also has Cosmo the space dog, and again, dog person. And if you have a talking dog in your Marvel movie, I'm automatically gonna like it, unless it's Quantumania. But I just really, really enjoyed the movie. I thought this is probably, I know everyone, I know the internet likes to shit on Chris Pratt, but like he gives a legitimately like great performance in this movie. I think like the best performance of his career. That honestly, I put him in a higher tier of the Chris's just because of his role in that movie.
I'm going to disagree on Adam Warlock. I don't think that movie knows what the hell to do with that character. And it's not necessarily Poulter's fault, but yeah, I mean, he just feels so untethered from almost everything that's happening. I also don't think James Gunn ever quite figured out what to do with Gamora after the events of Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. Not necessarily his fault. Marvel hung, put him in a corner there a little bit with how he could be, with the Russos did, with how he could treat. But like, whatever the answer was, I don't think that movie was it. I don't think they ever quite cracked.
I will argue I liked how they ended their arc, because in most other superhero movies, if this was, I'm not going to use Quantumania, I'll use The Flash. If this was The Flash, if it was like Iris West forgets Barry after they have a relationship, let's just say that, they would get back together at the ending just to make the crowd cheer and like clap. And I liked how it was just like, okay, she's a completely different person now. They're not going to get together. And like they joke about him getting together with Nebula, but they don't do it. And they aren't going to. And I thought it was a much more mature take on romance than what we typically get from an MCU movie, because I always liked Peter and Gamora's relationship, and I thought, while I've always been conflicted on her death in Infinity War, and I do think like that was a Russo's thing, and I know how much like James Gunn cares about his characters, he just had to put her in there, and I think he did the best with what he could with adding her. I get what you're saying with Adam Warlock. I think after he got fired and rehired, I imagine the movie got retooled quite a bit. And they kept hinting at Adam Warlock. From like Thor: The Dark World, you could see his cocoon in that post-credit scene. So he kind of had to come in a Guardians movie, and that could have been mandatory as well. But yeah.
I will shout out Mantis in that movie. There's a little joke about her being grossed out that humans can die at like 50 years old and how short our lifespans are. That cracks me up. So some of it works. Where are we thinking, Mike?
I think I'm probably going to go B tier.
That's high.
I mean,
I would have said I would say C, but if Nate wants to do B with you,
if I can't do Avengers level, we can do B.
It's the age-old, I don't know if it's a B MCU movie, right? But of what the group we're currently talking about, it is probably top 2, So like that's where.
Okay, so
do we want to go off of the entirety of the MCU or just off of Phase 5? That's really the question.
Yeah.
Phase 5.
And I will say, I'm going to try to do a better job here of not spoiling future entries we're going to discuss. But I will say that while I have some shows ahead of it, I only have one movie ahead of it. So if that's how we're looking at things, maybe B is the correct place.
Yeah.
Good.
Next up is, I'm just gonna do this. Okay, we can
wrap
about for 2 seconds.
Never finished it.
What is that show?
What is that show? Cannot be answered. The real question is will it ever be acknowledged within the confines of the MCU again?
No.
Thanks, Gay Rich. We got you. I can't fathom Secret Invasion's existence. Do we even follow up on that, on those storylines of like certain characters are Skrulls, or are we just going to forever forget that this existed?
The Rhodey was human all along. We don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Maria Hill's going to have to stay dead. So they'll have to, that'll have to be a notable event that stays in the canon. And past that, I don't. Who's Game of Thrones girl play?
Amelia Clark.
Amelia Clark. Like,
Skrull girl.
She's Skrull girl. She's got everybody's powers. She's one of the most powerful beings in the MCU.
We're never going to follow that up.
We're never going to see her again. It is a colossally bad television show. It actually blows my mind that Marvel allowed something of this quality to reach Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I want to say airwaves, but that's a very old school, non-correct term. They're streaming. I'm shocked that they allowed it to reach their streaming platform. It's real bad, guys.
How do you waste Academy Award winner Olivia Colman? You put her in a Marvel thing, and then it's like the worst thing. But why?
On paper, again, you have Olivia
Ben
Colman,
Mendelsohn.
Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn. You know, it's crazy.
Amelia Clark, who I like. I like Amelia Clark. It's rough, guys. It's rough.
Never finished it.
Yeah, it's the first Marvel project where I never finished it. Every story I hear about how this ends is terrible. Every clip I've seen from the finale has been terrible. We're not going to waste any more time.
I finished it. It never got any better. Got worse.
We're just going to move on to I Am Groot Season 2. Did see it.
I love Groot.
It's cute. D tier, I guess, because it's like it's not bad, but it's also
I feel bad to give my boy Baby Groot a D because he would cry. Do you want to make a Baby Groot cry?
So here's my thing. So I watched when season 1 of I Am Groot came out. My kids were a little younger, and we watched it together. I think it's a cute little show for kids who are into Marvel, who like Groot, who like Guardians. I think it's a cute, Is it even really a show? It's like a series of shorts, right?
It's a bunch of shorts.
It's a bunch of shorts.
Cute.
I thought it was cute, but didn't care or need to watch anymore. By the time season 2 came out, my kids were older, so they were kind of aged out, and I have not seen season 2.
Yeah, that's why it's like D or C. Like it's inoffensive. It's not bad. It's cute, but like
C for cute.
I'm going D for don't need it.
Okay, yeah.
D it is.
You're the only one who's like, I've only seen one episode, like the first one. And I was like, oh, this is adorable. And I never went back.
Of season 2 or of season 1?
Season 1.
So you've only seen one episode of I Am Groot in total, Nate.
Yeah.
And okay, so Nate's sitting out on this one. We're just going to stay with D. Loki season 2. Oh, yeah. I loved the show. I want to hear you guys' thoughts about it.
Robert, I think when you said you have one show, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I'm dying to hear.
Wait. When I said I have one show, what?
You would have one show like
ahead of
near
Guardians
the top.
Of the Galaxy?
Above Guardians of the Galaxy? Didn't you say you had one show you really liked?
I made a personal tier list to prepare for this, and I have 2 shows higher than Guardians of the Galaxy. This is one of them. It is not the highest show on my list, but I think I continue to enjoy Loki. I think it's overrated by some. I don't love it as much as its hardcore supporters do. I think the writing in it can be messy and inconsistent, but it is a fun cast. It has a great look. It has a great score. And I will continue to watch as many seasons of Loki as they would like to give me. And I think it would belong, like I said, personally, I have it higher than Guardians. So I think it would have to be in an upper tier at least.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Loki show. It is probably by far my favorite of the MCU shows. And I remember with like season 2, I'm like, how are they going to top season 1? They can't do it. They can't do it. And I think they were able to. I thought it just elevated like everything. I fully cared about like Mobius. When Owen Wilson was first cast in the MCU, I kind of like made a meme of it. I love Owen Wilson, but it's like it's Owen Wilson. It's the guy who says, wow. Wow. So
he's great, man. Him and Hiddleston are a great pair. Great.
Shout out to Lightning McQueen.
I want to see him back. I want to see like
Ke Huy Quan was great.
He's excellent. I thought everybody was just so great in this. I mean, yeah, I know there's the Jonathan Majors of it all, but I mean, I think that's a better use of him than I won't go on about the other movie, but like I thought that was interesting. The horny Miss Minutes was so bizarre, but I'm like, you know what? They're going for it. So I'm like, that's different. And I just think Tom Hiddleston, he's been in the MCU since Phase 1, and the fact that he just keeps getting like better and better in that role. And I just love the way it ended.
I will say
Yeah.
there were parts of this season of Loki that didn't hang together for me narratively. I did think it ended very strong. I agree with you. Like that last episode was a banger. And when it wasn't working at sort of peak storytelling level for me, I did think Hiddleston was good enough to sort of keep it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely adored this show. Both seasons of Loki, but Loki season 2 specifically, I just think it's a perfect end for that character. I know we're gonna apparently see him in Doomsday, but
I don't want to.
Really?
having
His ending is just so good.
But this is Marvel. I mean, nobody truly gets an ending. Like
he has to see Thor again too. That's the thing that's like that'd be nice. Him seeing Thor one more time.
We got a comment from K Rich. If you want to pull that up, he says
he's right.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Avengers. I would say this is probably my favorite thing in
if you want to hear all of my thoughts, we have a review on the channel for Loki season 2. It was great. I agree. We're just going to jump right into it. Avengers level?
Yeah.
We all agree? No arguments there?
K Rich just convinced me because he's right. I just went back and looked at all these other shows and it's like, yeah, he's right. All of the rest of the stuff feels standalone. But Loki.
Oh, see, this is where we differ. The Marvels is the most important movie in the entire MCU right now for some reason.
But
we got to talk about it.
Loki
also, K Rich is my cousin Kyle. So, hi, Kyle. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, cousin Kyle. Thanks for joining. Like, subscribe.
All right, so where do we put that? I can't see the whole. Show me the whole.
Yeah, we're getting pushed down. It's in Avengers. It's Avengers level.
Okay, I'm fine.
I have to. The posters are stretching it out, so I have to keep scrolling down to grab the new ones. But I'll leave it right here for now. The next topic though is the Marvels. I'm gonna go first because I think I enjoyed this the most out of the three of us. It's stupid fun. It's a Saturday morning cartoon. I respect it for that. I think it's the best use of the character Carol Danvers in the MCU so far. I think Brie Larson actually does play off of Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau much better than the character has appeared in their own film and the Avengers movies. It's still probably a C tier for me at best, but I think it's just trying to have a fun time. It's a little messy at times, but that's everything in Phase 5, I feel like, for the most part. But Nate, go. Marvels.
Okay. So I thought I was going to be the lowest one on this movie because I really didn't like it when I first saw it. I just saw a comment that said Avengers level for
Trayvon, represent. I'm trying my best, buddy. I'm fighting a losing battle.
I'm sorry. I just don't think this movie is good. I will agree. It is the best use of Brie Larson in this role because she's a phenomenal actress. I mean, go watch Room if you don't believe she's a great actress. Go watch 21 Jump Street or her like small role in Scott Pilgrim. Like, she's great. She's never been good in like a blockbuster besides maybe like Kong Skull Island. I thought she was decent in that, but this is the first time they give her a full-on personality, and I was like, okay, I like that. But I think the part that keeps me from hating this movie, because I think it's terrible for the most part, what's holding it from being terrible is Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel, who I just think I didn't really care about that character much, but before her show, but she is just, her energy is like so infectious in that role. Like, I thought like, oh, the fangirly thing could get really annoying and old after a little bit, but I don't know. For some reason, it made her feel even like more relatable in different ways. And I thought she just bounces off everybody great, and she's really the only like truly interesting character in that movie compared to there's the villain Darby. Was that the name, Darby?
There's a villain in this movie. Yeah, that happened.
That's the worst MCU villain.
As soon as she showed up in the trailer, I'm like, oh yeah, she's here. That's a thing.
She's worse than Malekith.
Worse than Malekith.
I can remember Malekith's name. I can't remember this. It's like Darman. I don't know.
You're gonna have to check IMDb. Robert, are you gonna pile on? Or are you gonna? Where are you here? Are you as bad as Nate, or are you as optimistic as me in the middle? Like,
okay. But before I get into it, I'm going to say two nice things about the Marvels.
Oh boy.
One, I'm going to echo Nate's sentiments that Iman Vellani is really good in this movie. I think she continues to be a great Ms. Marvel. I think she's a delight when she's on screen. I think she brings sort of a bubbly, fangirlish sort of personality that's actually refreshing in the MCU where things can be too serious sometimes. She's good. Two, there are a couple smaller fight scenes or sections of fight scenes where they do some fun things with the power switching that's going on, where they get a little creative with the power switching as they're in a fist fight. Past that, gentlemen, let me tell you, there are 36 movies in the MCU, and I have the Marvels ranked as 36th. This is a terrible movie that feels like it was chopped to pieces by accountants and people who are not filmmakers, who are not directors, who are
the accountants did a bad job then, because it's like a $200 million.
It feels like it was butchered by the execs who did not know what they wanted to do with this movie. Some of the large stabs at humor in it, like the musical sequence where they go to the musical planet and suddenly everyone is a Disney princess. Or the feline takeover. And look, I'm a big cat person, but it's like every attempt at broad humor in this movie, I think, is an unmitigated disaster. And it feels like a movie that has no vision or no reasons for its being behind it, other than we have these characters. They're all kind of related in the same, family of Captain Marvel characters in the comics. We should do something with them. But like, what is this movie about? Like, we're going to talk about the Thunderbolts later. I can very clearly tell you two what the Thunderbolts is about. Like, even, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm not going to jump the gun on that. But when we get to it, no matter what my feelings are, I can tell you what that movie's about. I cannot tell you what the Marvels is about other than we have IP and we need to do something with it and we should have a Captain America sequel. But past that, I don't know what thought went into it. Worst villain in the MCU by far. It's basically just a gender swapped version of Ronan. It's basically just Ronan done again, but as a girl. And Ronan's not that great to begin with. They just rolled it back and did Ronan again. What are we doing here? It is a bad movie. We do not have to put it in Secret Invasion tier. It should definitely be in whatever the tier is above that. And if you guys put it in any higher, that's on you.
No, I think
F tier is where I would have it.
F, but I would still put it above Quantumania. I think Quantumania is my least favorite of any of the MCU movies. It used to be Thor: The Dark World. Robert, I know you have defended that movie before.
Let's just get it out now. Thor: The Dark World continues to be my favorite Thor movie. I will proudly stand by this. Bring it. I don't care. Thor: The Dark World is a good movie. I
strongly disagree, but you've made arguments to me before that it is not the worst. So Quantumania is the worst. But yeah, I would still say it's F.
F, but above Quantumania.
By the way, we're getting some help on the name of the villain in that movie. Did we see that?
Yeah, Darman. Thanks, Trayvon.
And I'm also getting some backup by Jefferson here. Thank you, Jefferson.
Yes. The man, the myth, the legend, the GOAT, Jefferson. Welcome, man. Happy to have you. Oh, no, we ran Trayvon off. I'm sorry, buddy.
Great. Oh, and then Kyle is saying Marvels isn't a good movie at all, but like you guys said, it's the only movie to try to connect to the rest of Phase 5 besides Quantumania, and that was a mess, which, why are all the movies that try to connect terrible? Well, I guess we just got one that connects that was great, so...
I mean, the Marvels connects, I guess, but does it really advance the overarching story of the MCU in any way?
introduces the X-Men.
That's it.
In the Stinger.
Yeah.
It's
it.
still pretty vital. I mean,
In the
there's
Stinger.
I mean, Iron Man 1, I would still say the best post-credit scene in all of Marvel is that one in Iron Man 1 that is vital, where it's like, we need to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative, Mr. Stark. So
I'm
because of
sorry,
that-
but Kelsey Grammer showing up in a Stinger is not enough for me to say we advanced the story of the MCU in this movie.
We also, I mean, I guess you can argue that we didn't advance the story either, because what have we done with that since? It's just like Monica's in another dimension, and we're not going to see that until Avengers. So you could have just said the X-Men are over there and we're going to be in Avengers. That's fine. It's cool. Jefferson says, I don't think any movies from the last 3 years moves forward the MCU, in my humble opinion.
He's maybe not wrong.
He's not. That's
No.
unfortunate, but he's not. I just labeled this next section the what ifs. I don't care enough to circle back to what if season 3. We're just going to do seasons 2 and 3 right now. I don't like this show. I don't care about it.
I gave up after season 1. I just wasn't interested enough.
I did watch the Christmas special in season 2, and I was like, this nearly ruined my Christmas. It didn't, because I love Christmas. But how can I hate something that's Christmas themed? That's a sin. I would not say it's Secret Invasion, because I would say
maybe
no. I'd just D. Do D.
D for season 2. F for season 3, because he gave us that Howard the Duck episode.
Like, is anybody listening? Like, has anybody who is listening watched What If? We need help here. I don't know.
Yeah, please.
Chat, vote. We're
Yeah.
replacing What If. You guys vote. Seasons 2 and 3.
Jefferson's gonna say, okay, yeah.
I might have to put a poll down there. We're gonna let you guys vote on that.
So both of those seasons are Phase 5 then?
Yep.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Technically, there is one more Phase 5 thing to come.
Yes, there is. But Marvel acts like it doesn't exist, so we're acting like it doesn't exist as well. Okay. Unfortunately. Ironheart, we'll watch it when it gets here. And if you guys like this enough, we'll circle back for Ironheart.
Will we watch it when it gets here?
I mean, we have to. It's kind of our job.
Okay, if you're telling me we have to for the show, I'll watch. Mike.
At least the first episode. If it's as bad as Secret Invasion, you have your answer. You know.
Oh, Jefferson's chiming in on what tier What If needs to be in.
D. All right.
No.
Both in D.
Darcy fucks a duck and has a kid with it.
We're putting the last season back in F.
What? Wait,
that happens. That's Secret
stop,
Invasion.
rewind. What?
Darcy from the Thor movies in an episode has a child with Howard the Duck, and this child becomes a reoccurring character. So,
do you see why I don't watch the animated stuff?
This is why I specifically put the last season in F tier for that episode alone. Fun times, guys.
People acting like I'm crazy for saying Thor: The Dark World's a good movie. Come on.
See, that also like furthers my belief. I'm like, maybe I was too hard on that movie. I just forget it.
Good movie is a stretch. Is it the worst?
I don't think it's good. I think it's fine. Maybe it's just fine.
Guys, we're gonna have to take like a week and just do the entire MCU and just get through like 50 projects.
Jefferson just admitted, I just watched the first 2 seasons. Yeah, you didn't see the duck fox. So.
The duck child.
So literally no one was still, I mean, by the time I got season 3, no one broadcasting on this podcast was watching What If. As far as we know, no one listening to this live has watched What If. That's F tier.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. If you say so, man.
Season 1's fine. Season 1 has some great episodes.
Yeah.
Mainly the Strange. The Dark Doctor Strange episode, I think, is like one of the best stories in the MCU.
But that to me is the problem with What If, though, right? Is that it'll have moments. It'll have an episode here or there that's watchable. I think every season has at least an episode or 2 that is like actually really good. But they're 10 episode seasons. And if you only have 2 good episodes, we have a problem. You know? Like that's what we're running into with What If. But yeah, Jeff agrees just for the duck thing. F tier. Echo. This is our first foray into Disney Plus Netflix shows, essentially.
I cannot comment on this one because I want to watch this. I will get around to it.
You don't understand Fisk's arc in Daredevil Born Again unless you watch him go through the emotional trauma.
I've seen Echo. I've seen all of it. I'm ready when called upon, Mike.
All right, tap in. Go. What are your thoughts on Echo?
It's bad.
Oh, well.
It's real bad. Disney knew it was really bad. They released it all at once. That was 5 episodes. I think they all came out the same night. They basically
it's a Hulu show too, technically, for some weird reason.
I mean, all their shows are sort of mixed between. I don't know how that works, but I watched it on Disney Plus, and it just seems like something we didn't need. It feels like a throwaway show. You get a little bit of Kingpin action. It feels like a TV show, like the fight scenes. I mean, it's shot at a TV budget. It's not exactly pretty to look at. Doesn't advance the overall story in any way. By the time we get to Daredevil Born Again, there's one tiny offhand reference to it, like in the first episode, and then it's completely forgotten about. I mean, it's vaporware. I mean, if you're asking me like what happened in Echo, I can barely remember. It's not when they first announced, hey, Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios is taking over Marvel TV, and what we're getting in the movie theater during the Infinity Saga, we're now be doing on the TV side. I was expecting bigger and better things than sort of these throwaway street level action shows that don't feel any better and sometimes significantly worse than what Netflix was giving us pre Marvel Studios taking over the TV side. And there are no actors I can point to in Echo and say they weren't good in this. I mean, everybody was fine with the roles they were given. What's the name of the actress that plays Echo, Mike? Do you have the?
I do not have the cast.
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna
Alekwa Cox.
Yeah, Alekwa Cox. I mean, she's fine in it. She can be a formidable presence at times. They do not give her enough to work with in that show. Did you watch it, Mike?
I did, and I don't hate it. I don't love it either, though, and it's weird because I probably, not to jump the gun, but I do probably think it gives us more to chew on than Daredevil Born Again. Crazy enough, which is not a lot. That's not even like high praise, but it's fine. It's forgettable. You're not wrong, Robert, when you're saying there's not much going on here. There's not much to remember. Like, it doesn't stick with you. You watch the 5 episodes and you're just kind of like, okay, that was a thing. And then in a week you forget.
I remember it being like, it was sort of mystical and they didn't want to settle in on exactly what her power set or origins were almost to a degree. It's like it fainted and leaned at a lot of different ideas, some street level, some mystical, some sort of Native American, is she Native American or is it Mexican American? Yeah. But it's like they couldn't quite land on a sort of a compelling lockdown storyline, if that makes sense.
It's stuck between 2 worlds a little bit, because it's a spinoff from Hawkeye, right? And Hawkeye is like this goofy little Christmas special thing that they're doing. And I like Hawkeye, don't get me wrong, but it's like tonally, that is nothing like Daredevil. And now it's trying to become a Daredevil like adjacent series, but also it has that mystical element. So now it's trying to exist in like 3 branches of the MCU. And I think it makes it really messy.
I'll also give it credit for trying to give us a different look, a different locale. So much of this universe is set in New York City or random underground military bunkers or fantastical CGI nations on the other side of the world. Here they're like, hey, we're going to set a show. It's going to have a largely Native American cast. We're going to do it in the Midwest and the Southwest. And so it's cool that they're trying to give new shades and a new look to the MCU. It's just a 5-episode miniseries you dump in January with just
with a character I don't think they built up enough, because like she's in Echo's in Hawkeye and it's like a minor antagonist, but like you come away from Hawkeye like, oh yeah, we had Yelena and we had the Kingpin, and those are like the big bads that you kind of think about. And then Echo's kind of just if Echo's getting lost in the Hawkeye show, it makes the spinoff a really tough sell. And I don't think the show did enough to boost that character and make us care about that character. Because jumping to Daredevil, I'm trying not to jump too far, but like jumping to Daredevil, when you get to the end of that series, right? And everybody's like, oh, we're the heroes of New York. Nobody mentions Echo. And that is the one character we've gone out of our way to set up. And that to me is telling that they didn't do enough for that character to have impact.
I mean, I thought she worked better because she shows up in the Hawkeye show for what, like 2 episodes, or she like, you know, she
like half the series.
Yeah,
really.
like the back half, because then she shoots. Like I thought she was used better in that, honestly.
Yeah,
maybe she works better as a supporting character than as a headliner. I don't. They didn't make a compelling case otherwise.
She's always been a supporting character in the comics, I'm pretty sure. And it's like when I watched Hawkeye show, I really liked. That's probably my second favorite of the Disney Plus shows. But Robert, I know you once said it's your favorite, right?
Which Hawkeye? Hawkeye is my favorite MCU Disney Plus show.
I think it's great. But that show has like a great cast, and she just didn't stand out to me. Like when they first announced it, I was like, okay, I'm like interested. And then after I watched it, I'm like, I kind of was like more interested in Kate Bishop. Mike, I know why you were interested in Kate Bishop.
Watch your mouth.
The thing is, in Hawkeye, I think Echo was just one of the large group of colorful characters that they sprinkled throughout that show. They gave it such sort of a fun and lively tone, where it was all these colorful characters bouncing off of each other.
Yeah, imagine if the Swordsman got a spinoff show. You know, that's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I mean,
by the way, I want to make sure Jefferson's comment from 1107 gets shared on the stream in case it hasn't yet. Thank you.
Never.
Thank you.
Misses.
Thank you, Jefferson.
Jeff's also saying Loki all the way. I mean, we got it up in Avengers level, buddy. So we got you covered. And
this is damn Nate.
Damn Nate.
About Haley.
Yes.
Jeff, don't act like you've said worse.
Robert, what are we thinking for Echo? Nate's sitting out, I guess.
It's no higher than D.
I mean, I'm fine with putting a real show in D, if we're being quite honest, because Groot's just here because Groot's here.
What If's here because nobody watched it.
Right. So we finally have an actual project in D tier.
I mean, it's a better show than Secret Invasion, for sure. Is it 2 levels above Secret Invasion? Could be debated, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I can live with that. I'm cool with that.
Awesome.
That's the other thing, because you're mixing movies and TV, which it's difficult because those are 2 different art forms.
Blame Marvel. That's how they set up their phases.
Like, do I think Echo is a better entertainment than Ant-Man Quantumania? No, I do not. Do I think Echo is a more successful TV show than Quantumania is a film? Maybe. So does that make sense? Because it gets tricky. Two different art forms.
It's messy. Trust me, I get it. It's not gonna be a perfect tier list because of that very reason.
All right, where'd we stick it?
We put it in D tier.
Okay, I'm good with that.
So we actually have a movie. Can you believe Marvel made a movie, guys?
Okay.
Oh.
We always start with the most passionate or the person who's highest on it. So let me defend. Because you're not putting
I don't even know what we're up
Wolverine below a C.
We are talking Wade and Logan. Nate, go.
Okay. I know you guys don't like it. But for me, I'm not like the biggest Ryan Reynolds fan. I've always loved Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. But like as a fan of both of these characters, I went in, I wanted to see them curse and fight and draw blood. I wanted to see goofy cameos and I wanted to laugh. And that's exactly what I got. Like it gave me what I wanted. Now, do I think this movie has problems? Absolutely. Do I think that it is the weakest of the three Deadpool movies? Very much so. I also think the emotional element in the movie does not work, especially compared to Deadpool 2, where I thought that movie was like shockingly like emotional with how it dealt with it's Vanessa, right? It's Vanessa and Deadpool as well, right? I keep getting blank because Vanessa from
Yeah, it's Vanessa.
okay. But you know what? It's fun. It was the first time in a while that the MCU felt like an event again. And me sitting in the theater when people like laughed, I didn't groan.
Question.
Versus
Have you seen this since the theater?
yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure because we went through this with No Way Home, where everybody was like, "Oh, No Way Home's the greatest movie ever," and then people watched it at home. And they're like, "Oh, there's weird pauses for the applause." That's not how you make a movie.
See, I think, and I've heard the argument before when you introduce Jennifer Garner as like Elektra and like all those, like there's supposed to be a pause, but it's supposed to be like intentional. Like it's supposed to be goofy, like making fun. It's like, yeah, who the fuck cared about Jennifer Garner as Elektra? But she's here now. I get the applause. Obviously, there's got to be applause for Wesley Snipes' as Blade.
There's only one Blade.
Exactly. You cannot give Wesley Snipes' Blade below a C. All I'm saying. Okay. This is the movie that put Marvel kind of back into a cultural zeitgeist. The people went out and saw this movie, and people who aren't us, who don't have critical minds, who are just like, I want to see superheroes punch each other, they liked it.
Nick, your argument is people who aren't smart enough liked the movie. I need you to give me more, man.
Okay.
I'm trying to hear you out.
These characters have such good Jackman and Reynolds. Their chemistry is excellent as well. Their fight in the car, their little sex scene, I fucking love that. I just thought it has Dogpool as well. You cannot say no to Dogpool. No.
I'm saying no to Dogpool.
Tisk. I okay, say what, why would you put it in D then?
Because I haven't recommended a tier list yet. And in fact, I want to see Mike throw the tiers up. I need to see the tiers because before I start, I might throw Nate a bone here. Let me see something.
Thank you.
We're gonna pull these back up. Here you go. We currently, to recap, especially for the people who are probably listening on the podcast feed and can't see what we're doing, Avengers level is Loki Season 2. Next up in the B tier is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. C tier is currently empty. D tier has I Am Groot Season 2, What If Season 2, and Echo. F tier has The Marvels, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, What If Season 3, and then Secret Invasion has its own tier under everything else.
I'm going to say this up front. I think Deadpool and Wolverine is better than the two films that we have in tier F. And I think it's worse than the MCU film we have in tier B. So if Nate wants to put it in C, I will not push back. I will allow for Deadpool and Wolverine to go in tier C. I will say we are grading on a phase 5 curve there. This is once again not a good movie. It's I think there's some fun to be had in watching those two characters and those two actors play off each other. I will admit laughing at, a fair amount of stuff in that movie. I think I have it at 2.5 stars on my Letterboxd. It is narratively a mess from a sort of action standpoint. It's a mess. There's not you talk about that car fight. There's not a single exciting or compelling or well-assembled action scene in that entire film, I don't think. I keep hearing about, it was this swan song for the Fox era X-Men movies, and it was a celebration of Fox era Marvel and X-Men, and they did that with Jennifer Garner's Elektra and Channing Tatum, who there never actually existed, even though I know they tried for a long time during the heyday of the Fox X-Men. And sure, I guess it's cool seeing Wesley Snipes as Blade, but it was not a celebration of the Fox X-Men. That's coming. That's coming in these Avengers movies. This was just like, let's try to do an outcast movie with some outcasty Fox X-Men characters. And I just found it to be kind of a smug, CG littered, thinks it's too smart for its own good, but it's really not, kind of disaster, middling at absolute best. I agree with Nate. I love Deadpool 2. I think Deadpool 2 is a top tier superhero movie, not Marvel movie, not MCU movie. I think Deadpool 2 is a top tier superhero movie. I love the way that movie blends sort of the foul mouth R-rated vibe of the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
Sex jokes and masturbation jokes and the sort of lowbrow humor, and then marries that with this really sweet story about found families and kids and, going the right way with your life and making good choices. And I adore Deadpool 2. That movie gets better every time we rewatch it. And so with that, in that regard, I was so disappointed by Deadpool and Wolverine. And you finally got Deadpool in the MCU. Like, Deadpool is now in the MCU. Sky's the limit. We can have so much fun here.
Wolverine's in the MCU. Like, come on.
And this is what you choose to do with it? I'm fine with C tier, but let's not be kidded. Let's not be kidded by the box office here. This is not a good movie.
I mean, okay, and I know you guys have had arguments about this comment before, but to me, it's like...
I haven't said anything yet for what it's worth.
I know, but we've had prior combos. I've called it junk food. Like, I ate a ton of it, and it tasted great. You know what? I enjoyed eating that junk food.
But all of this is junk food. They're comic book movies.
Okay, but then I felt sick afterwards. So, like, if I had a bunch of candy at once, I'll probably give that a 7 out of 10. But the feeling afterwards is more like probably a 3 out of 10.
I am fine with C tier. If this was a Fox X-Men tier list or an overall MCU tier list, I would be pushing for it to be lower. I'm
going to just let you guys have it at C. I'm going to do what Robert just did earlier, right? Out of the 36 Marvel movies in the MCU, I have Deadpool and Wolverine at 28. It's still behind the Marvels for me. I would rather watch the Marvels than watch Deadpool and Wolverine.
I have it at 31. So you actually have it higher than me, Mike.
Yeah. I can't stand this movie. There's no redeeming qualities for me. Like, I'm sorry, but Hugh Jackman being Wolverine doesn't sell me anymore because I had Logan. I already said goodbye to this character. We already gave him the swan song. We brought him back for what? I love Deadpool 1 and 2, just like you guys. And I feel like those capture the humor and the tone that Ryan Reynolds and crew want to go for with that character, but still have an actual plot and an idea of what they want to do in that universe. This one is just like, hey, we're just going to do the buddy cop thing, but actually have no narrative focus. And the only emotional beats we really get are from Wolverine. And it's all beats we've seen before of he failed his team and the X-Men are gone and he lives and he's all alone. And it's like, I did that in X-Men 1. I did that in the Wolverine. We did that in Days of Future Past. We did that in Logan. And it's like, you're regurgitating story arcs for these characters, but you're making them 10 times worse. The movie's not nearly as funny as it thinks it is. Even the payoff of like Wolverine gets his comic accurate suit, that mask is one of the worst things I have ever seen in my life.
Terrible. Looks terrible.
And it's like, it's sad because it's like, I went my whole childhood wishing Hugh Jackman wore this damn mask. And once he finally wears it, the popcorn bucket's a little funny, I guess. But once he finally wears it, I'm just like, oh, I was wrong. I should have never told him to do this. We're part of the problem.
Mike, that movie fails to because it's not the Wolverine that we saw through all. It's not the Wolverine who died in Logan. It's
Yeah.
this separate alt universe Wolverine that we're supposed to have an emotional attachment to just because it's Hugh Jackman, which I guess we do to some degree. But the movie also needs to make a case about why we should care about this Wolverine. I think it fails at it miserably.
They bring in X-23 to try and make up for it, but it's like, that's still not her Logan. So I really don't care about their relationship.
I also have a huge problem with how Vanessa is just like instantly almost written out of that movie, and where the love between her and Wade is like the, emotional underpinning of those first two movies.
Yeah.
Almost just completely done away with in the third one.
It takes
in favor
everything...
of multiverse shenanigans and Deadpool's dying to come be an Avenger and part of the MCU proper, which I don't get at all. Like, I don't even get when they were sitting down to hammer out just what that movie should be. I don't agree with or understand how even they came to the basic decisions of what that movie should have been about. I feel like they chose poorly.
Okay. In the movie's defense.
Before you talk, we do have a comment. I want to address it, and then you can go. K. Rich says, it sucks that Logan was back in the shittiest way possible, but reinforcing that X-Men are actually active in the MCU kind of saved it compared to the rest of Phase 5. That's a fair take, I guess.
It's a better use of the X-Men than the Marvels. I mean,
I wouldn't even call the Marvels
Fraser.
a use of the X-Men, though, because they're a post-credit scene.
They brought back Fraser, and a guy in my theater clapped. Blue Fraser. Like, that's lame.
Also, can I just say Channing Tatum, not my Gambit?
No, I liked him. He made me laugh.
It's one of those things where it's like it's the MCUification, I think, is the problem, right? Because if this movie was a parody in a bubble, I can live with Channing Tatum. Why is he in Avengers? Channing Tatum should be the John Krasinski of Gambit, right? Like, he's funny, it's a gag, we did the thing, he's in the void. The real Gambit shows up later with the X-Men, but we're stuck in Foxverse hell. And I think that's one of the reasons that this movie annoys me. It's like, why did we bring these characters back? Why is Wolverine still here? He should have died saving X-23 or saving Deadpool, and we could have closed the book on that. Deadpool's in the MCU, the Foxverse is gone. But they keep coming back, and it's like, every ending we give these characters is worse than the last one. What are we doing here?
I will say the defense I was going to say, they could have, when they first announced Hugh Jackman as
Wolverine, that he was coming back.
As somebody who has, like, Logan is probably like my second favorite superhero movie of all time, like behind only The Dark Knight.
Wolverine is like my favorite Marvel character, so like, do not underestimate my love of Wolverine.
Oh, I know, but like, I was pretty pissed. They were like, "Oh, we're bringing Logan back," so I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna shit on his grave,"
and then they addressed that like right from the get-go, and I'm like, "Okay, that was actually
by literally shitting on his grave."
It was kind of funny, but then they don't bring back that Wolverine.
They don't just go like, "Oh, this is the same one from Logan." I like that it was a different Logan. I would agree his arc is very underdeveloped, but like,
at least it wasn't,
the Logan that like we cried about
when he died, and I was like, holy shit, they actually killed a superhero in a superhero movie.
Again, I'm okay with the... Oh, you're muted, Mike.
I was gonna say, I guess it's just the comic bookness of it all, but it's like, you bring Hugh Jackman back, I don't care if our Logan is still dead. That's the same character played by the same man. You can't comic book logic your way out of like, oh, we didn't actually bring him back. Then don't bring Hugh Jackman back. You brought Logan back. That's really what it is. We can have the nitpicks of like, well, technically, Fox versus Logan's still dead. That doesn't work for me. I'm still looking at Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine.
Just to reiterate, we keep bringing up our personal MCU rankings. Yeah, I'm okay with it being C tier, but that's just because of how weak of a phase this was. I mean, overall, out of 36, I have Deadpool and Wolverine at 31, Quantumania at 32, and the Marvels at 36.
I have
And there's
Deadpool at 20.
another movie down in that area we're going to be discussing soon. So it's like it's picking the best of what's not been very good lately.
Yeah, we already placed it at C. I'm conceding. I'm cool with that. This is definitely an F tier movie for me. It's probably a Secret Invasion movie for me, simply because the first two movies in this trilogy are great. They're legitimately great. And there's no redeeming qualities for this one. But we have a show.
Are you going to say...
I'll stand up for Nate, and I don't think it should be that low. If it was entirely up to me, I'd probably have a D tier. But
Secret Invasion tier. So you're saying it's worse than Darcy fucking Howard the Duck?
You see, there are other episodes in that season, Nate. I'm just saying, we're not ranking What If off of that one episode. We already memed and put it in F tier for the one episode. Come on. But Agatha, all along. Hold on. Jefferson has in the comments, I feel that they have to end this whole universe era because the sacrifice that characters make don't have any meaning anymore. You know they can come back no matter what, and that just sucks. Welcome to comic books, my friend.
Yep. I do wonder, one, that's exactly what I was thinking, Mike. I mean, that's what comic books do. For people who don't read comic books, who got so invested in these movies during the Infinity Saga, I wonder if that is part of the reason they're burning out on them, though, because there aren't real stakes anymore. And I wonder if that's going to get worse once Iron Man and Captain America come back, which I absolutely believe that they are. And
you have to reboot. Like, I feel like, and this is just, we can talk about this for a second, and we can get to Agatha in a minute. That's just the whole debate about these superhero projects, right? That's why when James Gunn says his universe is going to be more like Star Wars than it is the MCU, that makes more sense to me, because maybe you can recast those characters and have them, like, Batman doesn't have to die, but Batman will just be played by a different person in 10 years. You can do the James Bond thing and like they can live on that way. But when you kill Iron Man, right? And that's why these last few phases feel weird. That's why the idea of Thunderbolts before we saw the movie was weird, because all we're left with are these B and C tier characters. Like, once Tom Holland leaves, right? Once he ages out of being Spider-Man and he retires or they kill him off, you can bring in Miles. That luckily that character has that, but it's like the universe starts to fall apart because you get characters like Agatha who have to be kind of put into the forefront. And sometimes that works, but as a general audience member, do you really care about this random character in a random spinoff after all of these movies that you love kind of plateaued? That's the hard questions that they have to answer here.
Not just plateaued, but ended. Had an ending.
Yeah.
That was a great ending. It's tough.
Yeah. Like, the people who say they should have stopped after Endgame, there are a bunch of projects I love post Endgame, but I can't argue, like, yeah, they probably should have either retooled, taken a longer break, and like figure out what they actually wanted to do, because the multiverse thing, I think, was the wrong move because it all feels hollow. It all feels shallow. It's just, hey, we're bringing these characters from other universes, or we're going to a slightly different Earth. And it's like, the heart of these Marvel movies was always the characters themselves. Like, you fell in love with Tony Stark. You fell in love with Steve Rogers, right? But with a character like Doctor Strange, we have moved, instead of making people care about Stephen Strange, it's we're going to put him in these weird and wacky scenarios. And that's not even a dig at Multiverse of Madness. It's a fun time, but it's also like, I don't know if general audiences care about Stephen Strange as much as they did a Steve Rogers, you know?
I always liked the idea of them sort of taking a break from the long, Infinity Saga was this huge, long, I mean, how many years did that span? But between Iron Man and
that was from
Endgame.
2008 to what, 2019?
Yeah, so 10 or 11 years. I always thought the cool thing would have been to take a little break and just do sort of a fun little 3 or 4 year multiverse thing where you do 1 or 2 movies, 1 or 2 shows, maybe end with an Avengers versus Fox X-Men type of thing. Yeah. And then you clear the deck you could kind of reset at the end of that. And then you clear the deck for Doom or Galactus or whoever your next Thanos level threat is. and I think COVID might have played a part here too, but just extending this multiverse stuff, which has not worked so well and alienated a large part of an audience, trying to make that this decade plus event that is as big as what the Infinity Saga was. I just think it was too much to tie to multiversal storytelling.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the reasons watching Thunderbolts, we'll get to that in a couple minutes, but like that's why that movie is so refreshing. Because it's like, oh, Marvel remembered how to make Marvel movies. Let's go, guys.
Yep.
But our next show we're gonna get to is Agatha All Along. This is a spinoff to WandaVision. It's crazy that we have had Disney Plus shows get spinoffs now. That's how long we've been doing this. Any strong feelings about the story of Agatha Harkness?
I only watched halfway through and I ran out of time, but I really liked the first 3 episodes of it. Or like 4. I think I watched like 3, 4, 5. I don't know, but I really liked it. I just didn't get around to finishing it.
So unlike Nate, I've done my homework, Mike. I've seen this show from start to finish, and it is my favorite MCU TV show of this group. I actually like it better than Loki. I think the storytelling is more consistent than Loki. I think it feels more like an actual TV show than Loki does. Loki season 1 and 2 still feel to me like they're taking sort of movie type stories and trying to make them fit some sort of TV show, miniseries, multi-episode structure. Whereas like WandaVision before it, WandaVision, which is Hawkeye is my favorite MCU TV show. WandaVision is my second favorite. And WandaVision had this thing where every episode we're going to do something new. We're going to give you a 50s sitcom, or we're going to give you, a 60s style show. You know what I mean? It was every episode had a distinct look, a distinct story. It all fed into an overarching narrative, but it felt like a story that demanded to be told in individual episodes. And Agatha All Along did the same thing. If you watch the series by sort of basing each episode around a different challenge that our witches had to solve, and a different sort of location and challenge and puzzle to solve along the witches' road, it felt like an episodic TV show. And someone who's a longtime fan of episodic TV that thinks too often TV shows today try to be movies, just expanded to 6 hours, but we're really a movie. That's a bunch of horseshit. If you're going to make a TV show, make a TV show. Agatha All Along felt like a TV show, and it felt like not a great one, but it felt like a very good one. Still love Catherine Hahn as the character. Found it to be very inventive, and I thought it was a very enjoyable watch. And on my list, I have it as not Avengers tier, but on the tier right below, which would be what, a B tier for us?
That would be a B tier. I can't argue against that. It's a really entertaining show. I finished it. It's really good.
Finish it.
Yeah, like I get that Nate didn't. He just didn't get a chance to finish the show. It's not that
I'm just hassling Nate.
Oh yeah, I know, but it's like I think that speaks to Nate does want to go back to it, which is better than a lot of these. Like if you fell off of some of these shows, you're like, oh, I don't care enough to go back and finish Echo or What If or whatever, right? But yeah, Agatha's just really entertaining. I don't think I loved it as much as you, Robert, but like putting it in B tier. If I have to live with Deadpool and Wolverine and C, I will put it in Avengers level if we have to.
Agatha is a way more.
You haven't finished it, Nate. You have no say.
Yeah,
Avengers level.
Agatha All Along is a way more successful entertainment endeavor than Deadpool and Wolverine is. So we're also getting B tier support from the chat over here.
I agree. It's B from what I've seen, and the fact that I want to go back to it. Like I love that cast. Like I thought Joe Locke, like that was another character that I thought, I'm like, is he gonna annoy me? And no, I was like super charmed by him. Also, he holds a bunny in it. And while you two are both wearing Marvel shirts, I do have bunnies on my shirts, and there's a bunny in that show. So for that, it gets a B for the bunny.
I mean, Joe Locke, Aubrey Plaza, Patti LuPone, Sashir Zamata, and they're all doing really good work in it.
Yeah.
Along with the great Catherine Hahn, who I assume we all love, because who doesn't love Catherine Hahn?
Aubrey Plaza
I'm-
almost gets this Avengers level alone for me. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm legally obligated to say nothing but praise for Catherine Hahn because I feel like our coworker Taylor Gates will find me and murder me
I mean,
if I say
Catherine
anything bad. I love her.
Catherine Hahn's the best, and
She is.
she's great as
She's
Agatha,
best
and she
everything
gets
she's
to sing in this, and she has a lovely singing voice, and it's just it's the kind of Marvel TV show I would like to see more often.
Also,
where
it's a Halloween show, and I
it's-
love shows that are kept up with like the holidays. So.
It's a story that feels self-contained, but it feels like it has something to say. It's appropriately episodic, which I keep coming back to that, but that's big for me. I want TV shows to feel like they should be TV shows.
Yeah, I think Jack Schaefer is the showrunner,
correct.
right? Like, I feel
Yes.
like Jack Schaefer's the only person at Disney that knows how to make television shows.
Right.
So far.
Right.
You sold me because I did have like Loki way higher. But once you said it's a TV show that feels like a TV show, I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? They actually that's fair. Loki still is doing
Like I
that.
said,
I want to be a movie thing.
I would take WandaVision over the first season of Loki. I would take Agatha all along over this season, the second season of Loki. I mean, all respect to people who feel differently. My kid loves Loki. I know tons of Loki fans. It's a good show, but I don't think it's on the level of these ones Jack Schaefer's doing.
The only one.
She is.
So what's crazy to me, guys, we have 3 projects left. All of them are from this year. It is May 2nd. Are we getting too many Marvel projects in here?
Yeah.
Well, no, because last year we only had one movie.
Yeah, they're catching up.
So there's a little bit of catch up, and I don't know what the show number is from last year, but I feel like it was maybe lighter too, especially
It
if
was
you figure out.
surprisingly low.
Yeah.
It was 2 live action ones.
So I think it was just catch up this year.
Well, there's, I think, like Ironheart we have coming. We have Wonder Man, and don't we have another live action show coming?
Man, I don't know.
We have an animated show, and it's Marvel Zombies. That might be
Oh.
what you're thinking of.
Oh yeah, and Eyes of Wakanda. I'm actually excited for Eyes of Wakanda.
That's animated too, though, right?
yeah, but it's canon. I'm pumped.
And
for
Ryan
it.
Coogler's producing it, so whatever he touches is a must-watch for me.
Yeah.
But Captain America, Brave New World, the 4th movie in the Captain America franchise, the first starring Anthony Mackie as the titular character. Harrison Ford turns into a Red Hulk. For me, this movie just doesn't really work. It's pulling in too many things. One thing that I've noticed with these last 2 movies for Marvel is that they're kind of like the cleanup films. We have to wrap up stories. We have to wrap up what we're doing with the Eternals. We have to wrap up what we're doing with the Hulks and Captain America, and just like put the universe back in order. And so this is just like a hodgepodge of random story threads that they kind of threw together, and I just don't think it works, and I think it's a disservice to Sam Wilson as a character. I don't know how you guys feel about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I didn't hate that show, and I kind of like how they tried to humanize Sam Wilson, and like they gave him a sister, they gave him nephews, and we see like where he grew up in the South, and like him struggling with the mantle of Captain America. And in this movie kind of just throws it all away. We're going to ignore everything we set up in that show. And he's going to have a lame cast of supporting characters and be thrown into a Incredible Hulk sequel. It's just very weird for me, but I want to know your guys' thoughts on it.
Nate, you can go.
Okay. I am a big fan of the Hulk character in the comics.
Ever since what they did to him in Infinity War, going into Endgame, I've not been a fan of his character arc. I never really cared for Professor Hulk much in the comics. Like you said, Mike, this is an Incredible Hulk sequel, but it doesn't even have the fucking Incredible Hulk in it.
It's so weird. There's a point where we have a Gamma storyline, and it's like, why don't we call Bruce Banner?
No, we got to call Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson's like military buddy.
So strange.
And like that was the other thing. I always bring this up. Like, remember all the fake controversy about like, oh, he hates America. Anthony Mackie hates America. This whole movie, he goes out of his way to be like,
I love the troops. Like he stops the movie just to say, I love the troops. And I'm like, okay, I respect, but like, dude, you could say it once. You go to your buddy Bruce, not this random guy.
Yeah.
You waste the leader, who's a pretty cool villain in the comics, even if he looks a little goofy, and you waste Tim Blake Nelson, great actor, to make one of the lamest villains in the MCU. He's not forgettable, he's just lame. And there's parts I liked, kinda. I thought the Red Hulk battle was kind of fun. Harrison Ford, though, you have one of the biggest icons of like all of cinema. And you have him for most of the movie just having negotiations with like other world leaders, or he's in a bunker. It's like, what a waste.
Well, he is like 147 years old, or however old Harrison Ford is.
He's like
Yeah,
85,
but
I
like,
think.
then why cast him?
I mean, because it's Harrison Ford, and you needed to recast the role of Thunderbolt Ross. That's really all it is. It's
Star power.
yeah. If you're gonna recast that character, he is the star power to do it.
I'm just saying he's aged out of his matinee action hero.
You saw Indiana Jones. He was struggling, man.
I don't like to talk about the last two Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
here's what I can say. You know what? This is self-serving. I'm actually going to read from my own Letterboxd review, but I can't say it any better now than I did then, this is what I said about Brave New World. I'm just going to read a little tiny bit about this. But I said, innocuously inert and dully competent in a way that makes it slightly better than the Marvels, which is barely a movie, but slightly worse than Deadpool and Wolverine, which doesn't hold together at all, but at least isn't this boring. And I think that last part is really my thing with Captain America Brave New World. Is it is boring. It is, when you think of Marvel as an assembly line that is just like sort of churning out these cookie cutter superhero comic book movies that are, sort of made to look like what came before and really stuck with audiences 12, 14 years ago, but don't have the same freshness, pizzazz. It's just, we're just assembly lining these things out. This is the one that suffers from that the most. It just feels like it's a studio mandated Marvel entry that we needed in this, quarter of our budget year. So let's do this one, and let's throw a couple of Hulk guys in it, and let's make it a Falcon, Captain America, Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson movie. And it's just, like Nate said, it's bizarre that it's sort of a sequel to The Incredible Hulk without The Incredible Hulk. I actually don't mind bringing back the leader for this. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're also bringing back Liv Tyler as, is it Betty Ross or Betsy Ross? I always forget.
Betty.
Like bringing Betty Ross back and not having the Hulk in it, and bringing the Gamma Ray stuff back and not having the Hulk in it. Bizarre choice. I think it's a really weird choice that this whole movie is structured like a mystery. The movie is structured like a mystery. Like, what does the leader have on Thunderbolt Ross that's going to tip the scale here? What card is he playing that is going to make his things go his way in the third act? And it's structured like it's a mystery, but it's not a mystery because we saw the fucking Red Hulk in the first trailer for the movie. So we know where it's going the whole time. Bored out of my mind. Should be F tier.
This entire movie is so strange because Sam, again, this is why it's a Hulk movie and Sam has no place in it. He has no emotional connection outside of it's his duty as Captain America to save the president of the United States. And that's just not an interesting enough hook. And you're right. It's set up as a mystery. The reason why Captain America, the Winter Soldier works is the Hydra twist was the mystery, right? The whole who's the Winter Soldier thing.
Yeah.
I think most people knew that was Bucky, like within the first 5 minutes of the movie. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the plot keeps you engaged. Like, oh, Nick Fury just died. Oh, we're on the run. Oh, we're doing this. And it's like, this movie just doesn't have the same sauce.
I've said that before. Like Captain America Brave New World is like Civil War. If in the first trailer for Civil War, they told you that Bucky killed Iron Man's parents, like if
Yep.
you learned it in
Yeah.
the first trailer. So it makes no sense the way they structured the movie compared to the way they promoted the movie. And I get it. You want to get butts in the seats. It's the same reason they had to show us that Bruce Banner, the Hulk, was in Thor Ragnarok, even though it would have been so much more fun if no one would have known going into that movie that the Hulk was in that movie. But you got to put butts in seats. But then you can't structure your movie as a mystery. It's just, it's not simpatico.
Yeah. Catching up on chat, K-Rich might be out of touch when I say this, but I feel like Brave New World is one of the rare Marvel projects to waste good acting. Mackie and Ford were solid, but the story didn't make sense comic-wise. Jeff follows up saying, I think from all the recent movies, this one suffered the most reshoots, and they just didn't know how to move the story forward. That's, yeah. And then wasting Giancarlo Esposito should be a felony.
Yes.
To be fair, they wasted him on The Mandalorian too, so Disney's getting pretty good at that.
He was great on Mando.
No, Nate.
He was better in that than he was in this.
So
Debatable.
here's the debate. We're putting Brave New World in F tier.
Yeah.
Is it better than Quantumania?
At least Quantumania tried. Okay, I will read also my blurb from Letterboxd because I just
the
linked
letterbox
to
is
my
coming.
Before Nate does that, real quick, I want to say overall, MCU, I have Quantumania at 32 and Brave New World at 34. So,
Ooh, well, there's your vote.
Nate,
Okay, I said I'm not a fan of the Marvels, but I'll give it a compliment. At least it tried things. Did any of it work? No, but it took swings. Unlike Captain America: Brave New World.
I have the Marvels over Captain America: Brave New World.
Yes, I do too.
I also have Deadpool and Wolverine, as much crap as I just talked about it, over well over Captain America: Brave New World. So I'm fine putting it right here if that works. Is that cool?
I'm fine.
All right. We only have 2 more projects, 1 show, 1 movie.
I see.
We have Daredevil, Born Again,
Vanessa.
also known as Wilson and Vanessa Go to Therapy, but not the Wilson and Vanessa we were just talking about 3 slots ago. This show exists. It's whatever.
It's fine. I feel like it's kind of has to be C tier. I mean, there's moments of the show that I think are excellent. And like, again, Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are just perfect. Like, yeah, we already knew him from the Netflix show, but it's like they're really pouring their all into the role. They made it watchable because there's parts of the show where I was so excited when it was first announced, and I'm like, there's so much of the show that I was just like moderately entertained or bored. Like there's a couple moments where I was like hooked, but like I don't know, and I felt the ending was very anticlimactic. It's more like a shrug, but like I still am, I don't know, like I give it like probably like around like a 6 out of 10 is what I ended up giving it.
I agree with Nate, but I can be more assured about it. I think it belongs in the C tier. There's enough of this show that I like that, like, I will watch the next season. No questions asked. I think Charlie Cox makes for a great Matt Murdock still. I didn't love all the seasons or all the episodes of the Netflix version of the show, but I think Born Again, I liked it well enough, and I think Born Again ports over enough of it that I still like it well enough. I like the bank robbery episode. I know I'm out on a limb there in some circles, although I think, Mike, you're with me there. That bank robbery episode of Born Again feels like a single issue of a Daredevil comic book, which is what these shows should feel like. I also like the courtroom episode where he's arguing White Tiger's case. That feels like Daredevil is one of my favorite comic books. I've read so many issues of Daredevil over the years. Those 2 episodes felt like good issues of the Daredevil comic book. And enough. Like I said, if we put it in C tier, it's what? It's below Agatha, it's below Loki, but it's above the rest. I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I just wish we could realize that we don't need Kingpin to be the chief villain in every season of Daredevil ever.
I think that's what ultimately hurts this show for me, is that the idea of setting it like the character Muse and you have the character Heather, right? And like that connection alone is way more interesting than anything we did with Kingpin.
Could have been a season of television.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if we just followed this character, that this psycho that's going around killing 60 people, and Daredevil's trying to figure out this case, and he's also still doing courtroom stuff on the side, and then we have the twist of, oh, Muse is a patient of Heather, and then we have that big fight and that reveal. That could have been a season of television by itself. Kingpin is still the mayor of the city, and he's just like in the shadows, and he's only like bookending the show, and he does the anti-vigilante task force thing. Like everything could have been the same, but you just push Kingpin to next season, do Muse this season, and I think we already built a better show.
Listen, we can have Kingpin running around, and even like in season 2 of the Netflix show, like he wasn't the primary nemesis or the primary focus of that season. He just popped up almost Hannibal Lecter style, I think, from prison for a couple episodes.
Yeah,
that was fine. Meanwhile, there was Elektra stuff going on and the Hand going on, because there are other things we can focus on in a Daredevil show. To have Fisk take like half of every episode to focus on his shit and to make him the primary antagonist, to where it's almost like he's the protagonist. It's almost like we have a show with dueling protagonists just from different viewpoints. I mean, the show is as much Fisk's as it is Matt Murdock's.
I mean, it was built that way. It's always Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio.
And right? I no offense to D'Onofrio, he's a great Kingpin. It's worn me down. It's worn me down, gentlemen. I just sometimes I want a Daredevil show to just be a Daredevil show, not a Daredevil and Kingpin and Vanessa show. And Vanessa is so one note, and I'm just over it. And even Kingpin was pretty one note this year, and I'm over it. I know us three had these talks online, but they introduced, all of these other characters. We had like White Tiger running around, and they brought Swordsman back from Hawkeye, but like we never really saw them except in short video footage or TV news footage or on the stand in the White Tigers, for his role. And it's just like, why can't we have this colorful group of characters like that made up the Hawkeye show, or that even worked better in the earlier Netflix seasons of Daredevil? How about John Bernthal as Punisher? How much better was that show when Bernthal would show up?
Yep. Spring to life.
So much better.
He's just, honestly, as much as they love Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, I think John Bernthal fits Punisher even better than they fit their characters. And like, that's saying something, because I think both of them are perfectly cast, but like, John Bernthal was born to play that role, and he's just crushes it. I'm like, I don't care that he's just standing and talking in his first appearance. Like, this rips. Like,
Muse, I wanted to follow Mike up on a Muse thought, but share the last comment we have from Jefferson there, Mike. So following up on what Jefferson says right there, oh my God, they wasted Muse so bad. And what Mike was saying, like, imagine if they took the Muse character and made it a legitimate mystery, as opposed to giving us the way the show did it. There was only one guy it could have been. He had a giant flashing sign on his hand that said, "I'm Muse." They didn't give us any other options. And 2 episodes later, he was Muse, and it was over with. Had they built that up as a compelling mystery, either for people who don't know the comics, or maybe they change it up a little bit from the comics, where they give us multiple possible suspects of who could be this, graffiti crazy serial killer, that would have been super interesting. It's something different from Daredevil.
Even if they didn't want to do the mystery, like, that's a great idea. But like, even if you do introduce Muse, like he's like, "I love your books," and he's talking to Heather. That's the first time we're introduced to him. We could have gone into the mind of a killer, right? We have all these, true crime is so big on Netflix, right? It's such a big deal. We could have just dedicated, like, hey, what makes Daredevil tick? What makes Muse tick? And Heather could have been like the linchpin of that story, getting into the psyche of both of these characters. And that's instantly more interesting than Fisk trying to be a good guy, but not really. And then season finale, he's like, I've been planning to do crap at the port, I guess.
Yeah,
It's just like, okay.
and instead there were a couple small teases, and then all of a sudden it's the main part of the story for an episode or two, and then it's over, and it's back to Fisk and Vanessa, and it's like, I was interested in Muse. What? I'm fine with C tier though.
Nate, what tier? Born Again.
C. I think Robert and I think we basically are.
We agree.
All three of us are on the.
Is it
same.
better than Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah, it's better.
Wow, look at Nate. We might have got to him a little bit, Mike.
I'm sorry I broke you, Nate. I didn't mean to.
I mean, I just think like artistically too. I think Sean Levy does not have any sauce as a director. Versus, there's some moments with the action, like that opening moment where, spoiler alert, Foggy dies. That looked sick. Like that whole fight. That's more sauce than Sean Levy has in like ever. So like
we built this city.
And it has that. The best scene in all of like Phase 5 probably.
Also, to back up Robert from earlier, the bank heist rocks. If you check out the review over on Assembled where we covered it, Cliff said it's the best episode of the show. So, we have taste.
It wasn't bad.
We hear at the chatter after no good Daredevil when we see it. And I don't know. It's possible I have colleagues and friends online who don't know good Daredevil when they see it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names.
Nate. I'm sorry.
I like that episode.
I'm just giving you crap.
I said it was fine, but like it didn't have Fisk going on about Vanessa or him
10 out of 10 already.
And then it's not like him being like, I gotta fix this hole in the road. This hole is a metaphor for my marriage. And I want to fill it.
Guys, we made it to the end. The last movie of Phase 5. There's one show that's Ironheart. We'll get there when we get there. If it comes out. Mild spoilers, possibly, for Thunderbolts. I'm not gonna try, but I'm giving the guys free reign to talk about what they want to talk about.
Let's go moderate spoilers. I would put a moderate spoiler warning.
So you've been warned. That means Jeff, make up your mind, buddy. This is for you.
Han Solo dies.
Han Solo does indeed. Actually, no, he's in prison because he fought Captain America last time. But
yeah, I can't even use that as a spoiler. I remember when I think it was Jeff being like, I haven't seen Cap 4 yet, and I almost typed Han Solo dies, and I'm like, shoot, Han Solo is in this movie. I can't type that.
Thunderbolts asterisks. Who wants to go first? Give us your thoughts. Fresh thoughts. This movie just came out a day ago.
Mike, you start.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think this movie's really good. I really dig it. Like, I was very skeptical when they announced Thunderbolts. I remember, I think I was on stream with Leo over on Geekly Goods when they announced it at Comic-Con. And we were just like, this roster is weird. These are a bunch of characters we don't really care about. And they all do the same thing. Like, they're all just like either super soldiers or assassin types. And it's like, that's, for a superhero story, very boring. That said, getting into this movie, it rocks. It freaking rocks, because I forgot just how good, and this is my fault, I forgot just how good Florence Pugh is, right? And Marvel stepped up and they said, hey, we're going to do practical effects for the most part. We're going to do great action sequences. We're actually going to have a story, right, that actually has meaning behind it, and it's not just multiversal slop. It's like, hey, this is a metaphor for mental health, and we're going to showcase that with characters like the Sentry, or all these characters with all these like messed up pasts, right? We have Winter Soldier, we have Black Widow, we have US Agent, and it's like, it actually works. It comes together very well. There's still some Marvel problems that you get, like timeline wise, and just like, we're in New York again, so we have a bunch of characters that probably should be here, but they conveniently aren't here. But outside of that, like, it's just a really good time from start to finish. It has a beginning, middle, and end. It has a post-credit stinger that teases the future. And it's like Marvel remembered how to make Marvel movies for the first time in like 4 years. Good job. Those are my thoughts on Thunderbolts. If I were to rank this, out of this group, it is probably B or Avengers level. I can go either way. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts.
Oh, bye, Kyle. So, Robert, do you want to go first before me?
I can. It's up to you, sir.
You go ahead.
I think this is by far the best entry in this phase, and whatever our top level should be, it should stand alone. I don't think it's going to, because I think we put Loki up there already, but this is an Avengers tier entry for me. That's not to say that it's a perfect Marvel movie or even one of my favorite Marvel movies, because we're kind of considering what tier it's in here, but it is a very, very, very good, borderline great Marvel movie. And considering how rough this phase has been, it feels like a miracle.
Yeah.
I love that this movie is actually about something. I love that it has a viewpoint. Mike, you talk about how it's about depression and mental illness from a metaphorical level, which it is, but it's not even from a metaphorical level. It's about, these are characters in this movie who are battling mental illness and depression, from a straight on the surface level, and to see that tackled in a Marvel movie and a superhero movie and tackled this well is just incredible. I have some issues with the movie. I think the first half is a little bumpy. I think some of the narrative strokes it takes in getting Louis Pullman's character from point A to point B to point C, it takes some sort of narrative shortcuts. Some things happen off screen that I would prefer to see on screen. I wish they would have had time to give the script another pass, but boy, it improves as it goes along. And that final act, when I logged this on my letterbox, I waffled between 3.5 and 4 stars. I ultimately settled on 3.5. It may get to 4 stars on a rewatch. Honestly, the last 45 minutes of this movie is like a 4.5 star Marvel movie. It does get better as it goes along. This Thunderbolts has basically renewed my enthusiasm for the MCU after a pretty lackluster phase of shows and films.
Yeah, I will echo what you just said. Like, for a while, I'm just like, I don't care about like the MCU, but like now that Fantastic Four looks good, but like I know this doesn't really connect. Like, it is very much a standalone thing, but it's made me more interested in the future, and that's because this movie made me care about all of these characters. I think one of the things I didn't like, I was talking about Deadpool and Wolverine and the emotional element to it. That movie tried and it didn't work. This movie made me care about all of these characters who I always liked, like John Walker and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, I thought he had a compelling like arc throughout that, but like, I thought he was great. I thought Florence Pugh is just phenomenal. I mean, I thought David Harbour is hysterical as well, but Sentry, Louis Pullman as that character, he's new, yet somehow I was able to fully feel for him and fully root for him. They could have made it like the trailers. I was like, okay, are you just going to make him like a joke and you're going to keep saying Bob, Bob, Bob? I actually found that kind of line funny. John Walker's like, can you stop saying Bob? But like, I thought they were just going to do him like, oh, he's just a dopey guy. But like, they gave him a complexity that you don't really get. Like, this is the same franchise that did the Ralph Boner joke. Yet he could have been like something like that, and he wasn't. I think one of the scenes that I really love, this is a minor spoiler. It's no deaths or anything, but the fight they have when Sentry is in his costume for the first time, that's when I'm like, oh shit, these movies can actually feel like how Marvel can still feel like how it used to be. Like,
I could tell what was going on, and like the powers were sick, and
I think.
I was
Go on.
gripped.
You can. I was gonna say. I think. I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but I think Sentry is the best new addition to the MCU since Yelena, and they are the two leads of this movie.
Yep.
So you have the two strongest characters that the MCU has been able to introduce in a while,
Yeah.
and they're both the central, anchor to this film. I will push back on both of you a little bit that you guys were both like, well, take a group of characters we didn't really care about, and maybe you had concerns about that. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I cared about Yelena coming into this movie.
Yeah.
I think Florence Pugh is excellent Black Widow, which I find to be underrated in general.
It is.
And I liked her when she pops up in Hawkeye. Same with David Harbour for that movie. I mean, he's mostly comic relief, but I like David Harbour as Red Guardian. I cared about him coming into this movie. And of course, I care about Bucky. I mean, of course, I think we all do. So coming into this, I mean, there are three characters that I actively care about and still like in the MCU, and they haven't ruined them for me yet coming into this movie. Now, Ghost and John Walker, Taskmaster, yeah, there's some stuff around the fringes that's like, I don't really care.
Valentina.
Yeah, Valentina. And some of those characters I cared a little bit more about after this movie, and some of them I didn't. But I mean, you're talking about 4th, 5th, 6th, down the call sheet.
I guess for me,
such a good cast.
Yelena as a character, like I did like her in Black Widow. I like Black Widow more than most people.
Yeah,
I do too.
And I did, of course, enjoyed her in Hawkeye. She hasn't led her own story yet.
Yeah,
and so it's like I was excited to see how that was going to work, but that's why I was still on the fence, because it's like her first like solo outing. She's paired up with Bucky and this fake Captain America I really don't care about, and I just like Red Guardian doesn't bother me, but like I wasn't attached to that character, so it was like, I guess if it was billed as Black Widow too, right, and these other characters were in it, I would have had higher expectations. But since it's like the Thunderbolts, I'm like, oh, it's an ensemble film of characters I really don't care about except for like 2. But yeah, you're right, Robert. With her being the full-on lead of this movie and the best character and the strongest character, that works instantly. 100%.
She has to be a focal point in the Avengers Doomsday is the next one. Like, she has to be. I'm not saying we turn it into the Florence Pugh show. And I think as some big names get drawn back into the fold over those next 2 Avengers movies, she may recede a bit. But I would really love her to be a focus, at least early on in Doomsday. And I hope she is. And I hope Marvel's smart enough to have her sort of at the front and center, at least as that story gets underway.
Have her become like what Scarlett Johansson was, even before all those. Like, just have her stick around, even past, Doomsday and Secret Wars. Because I will say, I like you guys both. I liked Black Widow way more than most people did. And I was one of the people being like, why do I care? Black Widow died. And I ended up really enjoying that movie. And it was because of the Yelena and Red Guardian. So, like, I was pumped to see them back. But I think when they initially said, oh, we have a Thunderbolts movie in development, and they didn't say who, I was like, oh, so are we going to see, like, this could be how, like, Marvel, like, I guess, recontextualizes or, like, gives a second chance to, like, some of the villains, or brings back, like, some of, like, the fan favorite villains. Like, with the multiverse, you could have resurrected Killmonger, or if Quantumania didn't exist, you could bring back a Yellow Jacket. You could have the Abomination show up. You could have Zemo show up. Like, I thought it was going to be like that. And so when I saw, oh, it was just Black Widow 2, I was like, okay. Sure. As much as I love those characters.
I think maybe they just understood that these actors were going to really work well together.
Yeah.
And they did. Like, they picked the right people.
And that's faith in Marvel that I just didn't have at the time.
Right.
Where it's like,
I don't want to mess up her name. Hannah John Kamen. Hannah John Kamen, is that who plays what's the girl who plays Ghost? Yeah, the actress who plays Ghost. Like, I wish Ghost got a little more arc in this movie, and I think she could have been given more to do, but I think that actress plays well with this group. Like, I think she fits in well alongside Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan. And it's whatever the cocktail is, whatever the mix is there. Right. Like, we shouldn't trust Marvel to get it right at this point, but they did. They knew. And I don't like Falcon and the Winter Soldier as much as you guys. That is a TV show that didn't work for me. I know it was vastly affected by COVID. I don't entirely blame Marvel for it just because of the timeline, scheduling, and production problems they had there. I found Walker to be far more appealing in this.
Oh, 1000. Like, I don't like that character. That's why it's like, I don't need to, like, I thought he was effective for what they needed him to be as like a foil for Sam, and like, hey, he's competing for the shield. There's a story in DC Comics. That's always my frame of reference, right? There's a story called Battle for the Cowl, where Batman's dead and all of the Robins are fighting over who's going to become Batman. You have characters like Azrael and all these other people pop up, right? So Falcon and the Winter Soldier introducing another person who's a threat to take that shield. I thought John Walker worked well there as a foil. I didn't need to see him back. So when you tell me, oh, he's going to be a lead in a movie, it's like, I don't need to see that character again, but he actually does work here, and Wyatt Russell gives a good performance. And I want to see this team again. And that's why I was talking to our friend Trayvon, who left earlier after we disrespected the Marvels. But I was talking to Trayvon, and I'm like, this is what should have been post Endgame. And that's why the multiverse stuff bugs me so much, because it's like, we introduced all these new characters in Phase 4, and we should have been building teams like the Thunderbolts way sooner. We should have been building the Defenders with Moon Knight and all these other characters that we've introduced already, right? Instead of sloppily building to Doctor Doom, played by Robert Downey, who's only here because Jonathan Majors is fired. And it's like, I wish we got more Thunderbolts.
Mike,
I'm glad we got this, though.
We could have, and I'm not going to spoil it. I will not spoil the end of this movie. But what happens at the end of the movie and how this team is reconfigured, that could have happened literally 2 to 3 movies after Endgame, and it would have made sense. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been building a new MCU established quo that we could have worked with over across all of these phases. And instead, they save it all the way till the end to when we're rushing into Doomsday.
I'm going to just put the gauntlet down and say, if you have not seen Thunderbolts, this is the time you leave the stream. Like, subscribe. We will see you next week for another video.
Mike's diving in.
We're diving in. We have to, because 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mike has been complaining for the last 5 years that we haven't had a new Avengers movie. Why haven't we had a new Avengers movie? That was always my complaint of, make a new Avengers movie. That's it. We get it. We finally freaking get it. And it's like, this should have been 3 years ago, man.
Yeah.
That should have.
Because this is like, this after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's when this should have came out. Like, immediately after, like the summer after.
Competing Avengers teams or a West Coast, East Coast Avengers type situation. Like, that sounds fun.
That is way more fun than Avengers versus X-Men to me, if I'm being completely honest.
It's just going to be like fainted at. You know, we might get a glimpse of that in the first 10 minutes of Doomsday before it's X-Men and multiverse shenanigans, right?
Yeah.
And it's too bad.
Yeah. Like, we're putting it in S tier. I don't have to ask you guys. We're putting this in the Avengers level tier. But we're just like harping on the fact that this is what Phase 4 should have been. Do we want to move Loki down?
Yeah, I was gonna say move Loki down.
I think Loki should be down 1.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the final list.
That's not a bad shape. That looks about right.
It's aesthetically pleasing, you know.
We have one Marvel thing we really like, one we really hate, and everything else is kind of equally balanced in the middle.
Kind of meh. We are gonna come back and do a full-on episode on the Thunderbolts later this week. But were there any other thoughts you guys had on it? Because that is kind of why we're here. It just came out this week.
Going one more time to my MCU rankings, I just want to say I have it 17th overall out of 36. So again, it's not top tier or it's not super high, but I only have 2 post Endgame movies in front of it, and one of those is debatable. So if you're looking at just the success of things that have happened since Endgame, it's high up there. It's that good.
Yeah. I rank my Letterboxd ranked list is different because
Oh, boy.
I include the TV shows. So out of 45, it is at 13. It is.
I have not added it to my letterboxd yet. I need to take a look here and see where it places.
I think Guardians 3 might still be my favorite, but I am making plans to see it again on Sunday. So maybe it will go up. Maybe it won't. But like, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And I think even if you haven't seen any of these movies these characters were in, you could still go in and enjoy it. Like,
And again,
yeah.
I was just say it's actually about something. Earlier, I was
Mhm.
complaining about Brave New World feeling like a generic assembly line cookie cutter Marvel movie.
Yeah.
This feels like anything but that. It feels like
Yep.
the opposite of that. It feels like them saying, hey, let's take some of our characters and tell a story about mental illness, about depression, about feeling like you're trapped in your own life and have a problem getting out of the, direction you've been going, and all of these things. And found families. This is very much, I said to somebody today, I said, this is not a movie about a teen. This is a movie about a found family. And I love found family movies. And it just really works. I mean, like I said, if you're looking at post Endgame movies, I have Spider-Man No Way Home in front of it because Spider-Man No Way Home is incredible. And I'm I'm a Sam Raimi apologist, so I still have a very soft spot for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. but this is a really good one.
I have Thunderbolts. Looking at my list, I have it at 19 out of 36.
Yeah,
right past. It's right under the Avengers. It's between the Avengers and Thor. That's where I have it. Kyle says, I'd love to rank the scores in the past MCU movies because I actually think Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals have some of the best MCU scores. Ooh, I need to revisit those, actually. I don't remember those specifically, but I did
Black
enjoy...
Widow had a cool one.
I did. Go. Sorry.
No, I semi-remember Black Widow having kind of a dope score.
I think what hurt Black Widow for me is just not seeing it in a theater. Like, I think the score would have been way more memorable for me blasting off of the Dolby sound system that I have at like my IMAX. The score for this movie is something I did want to touch on, though. I love the Thunderbolts theme and how it's just like an inversion of the Avengers theme, and it's like it's not quite right, it's not quite there, it doesn't quite work. And then at the end of the movie, you're like, oh, okay. It adjusted, it tuned itself out, and here we are.
Yeah, I'm kind of a score head, but I don't typically notice MCU scores just because they're usually not noticeable outside of the Avengers movies and Alan Silvestri's work. And I think what's his name? Michael Giacchino did at least one of the Spider-Man movies.
He did all three, and he did Doctor Strange.
Yeah, so I think his work in the MCU is good. I did like the score for this one for the reasons Mike said. Lorne Balfe, I know he did at least one of the Mission Impossible scores. I know he's done some good work on the Mission Impossible series.
Hell yeah, he has.
I need to rewatch Black Widow. I probably am more likely to do so because I love Thunderbolts and I did like Black Widow, so I'm probably going to revisit that.
Kyle is making me want to rewatch Black Widow and pay attention to that score because I don't particularly remember it, but
I just hope that they don't waste Yelena. That's my biggest fear. It's sad that me coming out of this movie, my takeaway was great movie. Don't mess this up because we're about to go into whatever these next two Avengers movies are about to be. And I don't know if I want that.
You got to pay that girl RDJ money and sign her to a 9-movie deal right now.
Yeah. Because one thing that nobody talks about is that Yelena is following in the footsteps of Natasha, right? Natasha was the leader of the Avengers for the longest time because she took over the Avengers in between Infinity War and Endgame, and she was the leader of that team for like 5 years, and we never saw it. And I'm hoping Yelena doesn't fall victim to leader of the Avengers, and we never see it.
Let's just go here. Can we go here? I have a hot take. I think Yelena is more interesting than Natasha is. Straight up. Period.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's valid. I feel like Natasha and Yelena have the same origin story, but we don't follow through with it with Natasha. She's like, oh yeah, that was a long time ago. I'm a SHIELD agent now. And we kind of just, it's carried by Scarlett Johansson's natural just like charisma more than anything. So I don't disagree there. I really don't think that's a hot take when you sit down and think about it.
Mike, you can throw Kyle's last comment up because I will say again, I'm a big Michael Giacchino. Although I think I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but Michael Giacchino, I'm a big fan of his, and I'm looking forward to his Fantastic Four score as well.
Fantastic Four. It's so good. I love it. Seeing that trailer for the first time in IMAX was great.
Oh my god, my theater was like lively with that.
We'll see if Fantastic Four is better than Thunderbolts. It's kind of, that's not a slam dunk. A line has been set. This was a really good movie, and I hope Fantastic Four can continue the good times and continue to build off of it and get this whole train moving back in the right direction. Trains only move in one direction. We hope this get the ship moved back in the right direction.
Get back on the tracks,
Yeah, there we go. Back on the tracks. So we'll see. Tall order though, because Thunderbolts is really good.
Fantastic Four scares me simply because it's got to lead into the Avengers stuff, and like even Thunderbolts already teasing Fantastic Four crashing to Earth thing.
Right. That's what's funny because we already basically knew how that movie had to end before it comes out. And Marvel knows that. And now in the stinger for Thunderbolts, they're already like, we already know how this is going to end. Let us show you a little tease of it now. So that's weird.
It's such a strange choice, but that also is like, is Fantastic Four going to have to be the movie to set up all of this other stuff? What I said about Brave New World earlier, right, is these last two movies are just like doing all the dirty work of, we need to make sure we put them in the right place. We had to round up all these loose ends with U.S. Agent and Bucky and Yelena, and like, hey, we had to get them on a team and get them ready for Avengers.
So it's two different things, but you're right. I felt like Brave New World was sort of like clearing the deck and wrapping up loose ends. And then Thunderbolts was like, okay, now this is where we're going.
Yeah. For sure. And it's like, Fantastic Four will then have to be like, here's the new game plan. This is what we're doing now. We've got to go fight Victor Von Downey Jr.
Variant Tony Stark.
Nate, any other thoughts before we wrap this up?
Not anything else. Kyle actually brought up a interesting question to close it out, because Yelena did have a different like suit design in that original like concept art. Like it kind of brought back her vest and everything. Like the suits look a bit different. I like how the suits looked in the movie, but it was kind of interesting because they changed it. Ghost looked more, I will say, I love the look of Ghost and I love her powers. Like that was cool to watch.
Honestly, superhero suits are like the thing I care least about in these things. Like it's nice when they look good. It's bad when they look like Wolverine's mask and Deadpool and Wolverine. But ultimately, I just want you.
That was so.
But ultimately, I just want you to get the characters right. Like those Matrixy black leather X-Men suits in the original Fox movies are garbage. And you know what? Those are good movies because it doesn't matter if you get the characters right. It's fine.
I wish they kept Bucky. They gave Bucky that haircut. I don't like his long hair back again.
I will say the goggles are dope.
They are.
I like this look I wish we kept this one, if we're being honest, because it's different enough from Natasha, but it's keeping that green vest, it's keeping that element there. So I actually do prefer the concept art. Shocker, Marvel concept art.
Bucky has short hair. Is that what you just said, Nate? Were you just commenting on Bucky's hair?
I like that.
It's so tonally, it always felt like the Winter Soldier had the long hair and Bucky Barnes has the short hair. So like once he got programmed and brainwashed,
and he's like a senator now. So now that he's in the Senate or whatever, you think he'd clean himself up and shave and give the hair a trim, but no.
It makes him look like his Marvel rival skin. So there's that, I guess. It's all a marketing play. Guys, this has been a fun one. We've gone 2 hours long, but we did the thing. And for the audio onlys recap, Avengers level, Thunderbolts asterisks. I think we're in the spoiler territory, so we can just say the new Avengers. B tier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, Loki Season 2, Agatha All Along. In C tier, it's Daredevil Born Again Season 1. Also followed by Deadpool and Wolverine. D tier, I Am Groot Season 2, What If Season 2, and Echo. F tier, The Marvels, Captain America Brave New World, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, What If Season 3, strictly because Darcy got pregnant by Howard the Duck. I don't know. And then Secret Invasion is here. It's present. It was acknowledged. It happened. And
I can really only recommend B tier and up here. I guess Daredevil. If you're a Daredevil fan, you can watch Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a bright future ahead of us, though. Hopefully, we've got Ironheart and Fantastic Four First Steps. We'll be back. Check out Assembled. We're going to be talking about Thunderbolts in depth there. Robert, where can the folks find you?
RBTrights.com, or you can find me on Blue Sky at Robert B. Taylor. Mike, I just want to say thank you. It was fun to come on and not have to talk about cordyceps or Joel getting his head bashed in. It was nice to mix it up a little bit.
Right?
Thanks. Yeah.
We had to take a break for a second from the seps. They try to get you way too much.
Yeah.
Nate.
So you can find me at Nate Knows Movies on Blue Sky, on the hell site that I'm not even gonna name, or on Letterboxd, which is just that Nate Richard. You just type in my name, I will show up. Or you could also find me on Instagram, which is at, I believe I just changed it. Let me make sure.
New handle. Hold up.
Nate has so much stuff. I just want to live inside my box on the chatter after. That's all I want. That's the only internet presence I need, Mike. I'm sorry, Nate. Carry on with your list.
No, you're good.
Where's your Insta? You changed it though, right? What's the handle?
It's not. It's the same. It's still Nate Richard 98. So
Okay. Well, you guys can find me at Novice Cinephile on YouTube, TikTok, Blue Sky. Threads is the Novice Cinephile. Instagram is the Novice Cinephile as well. Also here on the Chatter After, where we are talking movies every single week. We're also doing Insider Chat, where we're talking movie news a couple times a week. Nate and I are doing that. He didn't plug that. I'm plugging it here. Also, Beyond the Clickers, Robert joins me and Brandon from time to time talking The Last of Us every single Monday around 9 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you check that out. We have another episode to get to, and it's a doozy from what I saw in the preview. So hopefully it's a fun time. Check out the Assembled podcast. We're going to be reviewing the Thunderbolts full spoilers on Tuesday. So check that out as well. And I've got writings and stuff over at collider.com if you guys want to check that out too. All of us do. No big deal. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time. And remember, keep watching movies. Peace.